We are live.
We are live. There we go. Chip and I have got Sam's right on. Everybody, welcome to Drummers Education Connection at our new time here on Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m. Today, our guest is none other than my boss for the last 26 years, Sam Morrison. Sam, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for coming on the show and doing this. This is awesome.
No worries. I got my coffee. I'm good to go.
There you go. That's all we need. We need a cup of coffee and that's it. Hey, so what we're going to be doing here today is talking to Sam, talking about leadership and being in a band and all that sort of good stuff. And we've changed our time. Obviously, we are going live at 8 o'clock instead of 11. And we're changing the format a little bit. We're going to be talking a lot about, we're going to be doing the same things where we talk to drummers and drum manufacturers and stuff like that. But we're going to be talking a lot about business and music business and how the business works. And so I thought, what better way to kick that off than with my buddy Sam. But before we do the interview and start our conversation, we're going to do what we've always done and do good things. So that can be something that you've got good going on in your life, in music, outside of music, whatever. I'm going to throw it to Chip over in Tucson. Chip. How are you, and what do you got good going on?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, man. If it was any better, I think the deck was stacked. We're doing as good as we can do right now. And my good thing is that my book is on Hudson. My Stick Tricks and Showmanship book is on Hudson. You can go get it now. It's got great information for stage presence and getting through fear and setting goals and manifesting reality, all kinds of cool stuff, and stick trick videos. And it's a big fun book, man. So I encourage everybody to go to hudsonmusic.com and get that book, Stick Tricks and Showmanship. That's my good thing.
That's great.
Get that book there, Bart.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna buy that.
Get that book.
I'm gonna get that as soon as I get offline. Man, get rid of my fear. Sam, what do you got good that's going on, bro?
What's good going on? I'm gonna go see my grandkids next month. That's a good thing. I'm in the studio right now working on new songs, and you know that. And anytime I'm in the studio, I love playing live and I love being on the road, but this room that I'm in right now, I could live in here and time just disappears. I love it. It's so much fun.
Right on.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I've got this month, it's June already. Today's June 2nd. Last 2 weeks of June, first 2 weeks of July. I have 2 boot camps that I'm doing at just right up the street at Rockstars tomorrow in Norco. And one of them is a beginner's rhythm camp. You don't need to be a drummer to sign up for this one. If you're a guitar player, bass player, and you want to understand how rhythm works and subdivision works, you can go to Rockstars tomorrow and sign up for that and come take some rhythm lessons. And then I have another one called Beyond the Kit, and we are going to be working on a fun drum march thing. It's called the Red Panthers. It's actually a piece of music that was written in 1967, I believe, by the Ludwig Drum Company. And it is a top line, bottom line thing. So it's a fun drum march. And so we're going to be learning that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that. So go to Rockstars tomorrow, sign up for that. Also, in the description to this video, there is a free PDF for a item called the Musician's 7-Day Mindset Reset. You can go down in there and download that if you're a musician and you're kind of feeling stuck and you feel like, man, I just can't, I can't break through this thing. I can't break through whatever it is. It could be a business thing. It could be something you're trying to play and learn how to play. A lot of times that's our mind telling us that we can't do that. Anyway, if you go down to the description in this, to this video on YouTube, you will be able to download that and get that for free. So anyway, on to the interview. My buddy Sam, like I said, we're kind of doing a lot of content now is going to be kind of geared towards the music business and how we make the business into things work, right? How we get into this crazy business and make it work for us so we can make a buck. And I thought, what better way to kick that off than to interview Sam. I've been the drummer for the Sam Morrison band for 26 years. And I've been all over the world with the guy, and it's been just a great, great, great ride. So let's start off with that. Sam, what year did you start the band, and why did you start your band?
My band started in 1995. I was telling Chip my hair was a lot darker back then.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's hair?
What hair? Exactly.
What hair?
Yeah. At the time, country music was the big thing. And I was working a day job that I hated. And I just wasn't really doing anything. And I found an ad in what they have out here called the Recycler, somebody looking for a guitar player. And I'm like, well, this country thing's not that hard and it's pretty cool. I'm going to go do that for a little bit and see what happens. And so I did the round playing in cover bands. I was at one time Orange County's biggest guitar whore. I played with any band that would hire me, and there was a place here called Cook's Corner that all the bands played. And I played there 5 weeks in a row with 5 different bands. I just kind of left my gear set up in the corner and just showed up next week with the new band. But anyway, I don't know. The country thing, I did that with other bands, and then I wound up starting my own because I got so much experience playing with the other guys and stuff. And I go, well, it doesn't seem that hard. Let's just do it. And I don't know. We did the country thing here for about 5 years, and we played all the big, huge places. The Crazy Horse was like the #1 country nightclub in the country. We were one of the house bands there. And I don't know, 2000, the country thing, Garth Brooks retired, everything just kind of started sliding. And all the country bars out here started closing. So everything in Southern California, you had this huge group of country bands. And now you've only got like 3 venues. So you got to play once every 8 weeks or something. And it's like, I'm not going to do that anymore. So we switched over to Southern Rock. I got Bart start playing drums for me. And we took off from there. That was kind of the thing.
Right on. That's cool.
Very good.
So why Bart? What made him?
I asked
made
myself
him
that
get the
every
gig?
stinking day.
I had a feeling that the steamroller was going to start at my feet and go really slow for the next hour.
while you were getting coffee, me and Chip are talking about it. We're gonna all the secrets are coming out today.
Sam was telling me the other day, Chip, he goes, if you could learn how to spin your sticks better and you had a green drum set, that would be great. Do you know anybody like that?
Yeah, man.
No, I don't know. It was weird. The thing with Bart was just one of those things. It was, I call it a God thing. It's just something that's supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing at this church here in Orange County, and we had blown out our speakers and our monitors. And so I had to go take them to get them fixed. And it turns out I took them to Orange County Speaker, and Bart was the guy there at the counter. And we just started talking this, that, and the other. We started hanging out. And I had a really, really good gig coming up. We were playing at the Arrowhead Pond, which is now the Honda Center. But like I said, our country band was pretty rocking. And we played for the Flying U Rodeo. So I mean, the Arrowhead Pond is like the huge hockey stadium. This is like the big concert venue. It's the Enormo Dome for Orange County. And so I talking to Bart, oh yeah, well, we're playing down at the pond this weekend if you want to come see us, And, he immediately got interested, and they came down to see us. But I don't know. It sounds more glamorous than it was. But anyway, that just kind of started off our friendship. And as things started getting, the country band and the country stuff started getting weird. And I'm sure we're going to talk about some of this as he starts talking about bands. But I started going through members, and I got Bart. I said, hey, you want to come play drums for me? And he was, he's a heavy metal guy, and going into a country band, that was a pretty huge transition. But, he had the determination. He had everything, that I saw who he was, and I'm like, dude, this is going to work. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was back in the day, I played in a metal band in '97, and that's all I really wanted to do was double bass and big old fills and play with the aggressive music. And I left the band. We had a breakup, and I was looking for gigs in California and answering an ad in the paper. And I put a thing in the paper about my drumming and my phone number, and a guy called me from a cruise ship on a country band, and he said, okay, so that sounds good. And you can play this, you can play that. Okay, great. And I'm like, yeah, I can play anything. I'm ready to go. And he goes, what songs are you going to sing for me? And I'm like, I don't sing. They pay me not to, you know what I mean? And he goes, and he's like, what songs will you sing when you're in the band? And I'm like, well, I don't really sing. I can rap a little bit, but I don't sing. And he goes, I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. What songs will you sing when I hire you to play in my band? And I was like, Rockin' Robin, The Chair, and Devil Went Down to Georgia. You know what I mean? Said, all right, so bring your stuff. And that's how I got on my first country band cruise ship gig.
Oh, that's cool.
So you guys.
Go ahead, Chip.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, you guys have been playing so long for so many years. How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep that that charisma going on stage? How do you keep it fresh?
I don't know. When you go on stage, that's your job. I mean, there's a book that came out a while back, and Bart can tell you, I'm the biggest Charlie Daniels fan in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a book called Never Look at the Empty Seats. And in that book, he kind of talked about not only his life history, but he talked about his band and how he runs the band and his philosophy on business and music and all that stuff. And I joke around all the time saying that book is actually my second Bible, and it kind of is. And, that's one of the things that Charlie talks about in the book is like, there's people out there that, they're working hard all week and they're, looking for something to do. They choose to spend their hard-earned money to come and see you play. Yeah. And when they get there, what they deserve is not the fact that you are having problems or that, your dog died. They're not there to find out that, all these problems and stuff that you're happening. They're there for a good time. And that is your job as a musician, is to give them that good time. So, we do what we call the huddle every time before we go up on stage and play. And, I kind of say a quick prayer and, God, these people are here to see a good show, that, help us give it to them and make sure they get their money's worth. And that's really what I try to focus on and try to let the guys focus on, is like, we're not there for us. They're not there so that we can be up there and be playing rock stars. We are there to provide them the entertainment that they came to see. And it's our job to do that to the best of our ability. So the keeping it fresh part is just doing your job. I mean, that is the job.
Right on.
Yeah. We've talked about that for, we spent so many miles together on the road and, just hours and hours and hours. And I think it's a great conversation to have, because when we're on the road and you're reflecting on that stuff, there's going to be nights where, you're not feeling it, or you're not feeling well, maybe you're ill. And in the back of your mind, it's like, okay, nobody knows that I'm not feeling well, and nobody cares that I'm not feeling well, or that my dog died, as you said, or, I had a fight with my significant other, keep it fresh, keep it in the moment.
They didn't pay for your problems.
Exactly. They're there to kind of get rid of their problems. Exactly. They just had a fight with their significant other, and so they want to come and enjoy the show. Let's circle back around to this. I have a number of questions that I wanted to ask, just not generic questions, because I pretty much know the answer to everything I'm going to ask you.
My questions are all generic, so
generic questions are fine. But what makes a musician? We were joking, and you said, how I got in the band. But when you see somebody as a musician in the band that's going to work with the band, what makes them, I don't want to say irreplaceable or indispensable, but what makes you go, that's the person that I want to work with. I want to have that person in the band. What's
Well, a lot of it, it's a combination of things. I mean, the work ethic is one. I mean, they've got to be able to play. They've got to, know their parts. They've got to be a good hang. I mean, Bart was saying, hours on the road. He's not kidding. I don't know if he's talked to you guys about any of this stuff, but we had a gig in Phoenix that we played. The agent had us play in Phoenix and we had a day off. And then the very next day we were playing in Harlingen, Texas, which is right where the point is before it goes into Mexico.
Oh man.
As soon as the gig was over in Phoenix, we drove 23 straight hours, no stopping, to get to that next gig. We did 5 shows there, and then the same thing happened. We had a day off and then another show in Phoenix. So we had to drive 23 straight hours back and then do some more shows. And
Mercy.
So the driving is part of it, and the being on the road is part of it, and hanging out is, that's a thing. You've got to be able to put up with each other on, those kind of trips. And, that's a big part of it too. And I just want good people. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you want to be able to trust the guys that you're working with. You want to be able to know that they got your back as much as you've got theirs. And, I don't know. Part of the reason I think that this band has been together for 26 years is that's it. I mean, we treat it like a family, and that's how I look at it. These guys are my brothers. They're not my employees. Bart said I'm his boss. I don't think I'm his boss. He's my drummer. I'm his singer. We're in a band. That's how it works.
That's cool.
That's kind of the way I've always looked at it too. I mean, I don't, it's really easy to go, oh, Sam's my boss, but I've known Sam for so long that it's, and we're such good friends. We've been through good times, bad times, hey, there's a song. Why didn't somebody write that, together? And so, yeah, it is definitely more of a brotherhood. And the thing that, I talked about that in my last Deck Day clinic. My last Deck Day clinic was basically the story of the band. And I did that because I think that there's a lot of young musicians that see, they see the end result. They see the concert, right? And that's the end result of a lot of hard work. And when I say that, I'm not even talking about the years it takes to get there. I'm talking about that particular day, what it took to get all the stuff up on the stage, get it working and stuff like that. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that. So touch on that a little bit, Sam. Touch on when somebody sees a band, and it can be at a local bar pub gig, or it can be at a Normo Dome, at the Honda Center, where we've seen Van Halen and AC/DC. What does it take to make that happen?
Where do I start?
Right.
Well,
it's not an easy question to answer.
Yeah,
it's
obviously not. The day of show, I mean, you've got to get to the gig. And again, like I said in that earlier part, it doesn't matter where you are, you've got to get to that next gig. And, that's a big part of it. The setting up and the tearing down, that's one of the jokes is that, we play for free. We charge them to set up and tear down and get to where we're going. That's what I charge them for. And
we charge them to drive there.
Exactly. I mean, that's the work. It really is. And, I don't know, the amount of work that it takes to even get that gig. I mean, that's a hard part. I mean, when I started this, I wanted the same thing everybody wanted to be. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to have a castle. I wanted to, have cars and chicks and that's the dream they sell us when we're, 13 starting out. But the reality of it is when, I spend probably 10% of my time actually playing music. And
right.
The other 90% is on the phone, dealing with problems, dealing with, merch, dealing with getting gigs booked, sending out stage plots, dealing with agents, dealing with the venues. I mean, that's the work. And, that's kind of the thing too, is like when you get signed and you get, the big ticket thing and you've got a record company working for you, you've got a team of people that do all of this stuff. And I always say, you know, joking around with Bart, that we've broken through the bottom of the middle. We're kind of too big to play in bars, but we're not big enough to have roadies and a team of people that work with us. And so
Yeah.
it falls on us, and it falls on me mostly because a lot of this stuff is just stuff that I have to do. I mean, I delegate everything that I possibly can. Bart's a road dog, and he's a great driver. And that's one of the things. And he knows all about cars and trucks and fixing things when they break. And, all the guys have their own specialty that they take care of when we're on the road. But the majority of the stuff, my name's on the kick drum. I have to do it.
Wasn't the band touring in Bart's bus for a while?
We were.
Bart's bus.
Yeah.
Bart's bus.
Bart's bus. Well,
How did the bus come about, Bart?
that was actually my father's. And when he passed away, that was, I got that. So yeah, that was it. And the thing that, you learn quickly about something like that, well, what a lot of people I think don't understand too, when you're on the road, it doesn't matter if you're in a bus, a car, an old station wagon from the 1970s. The maintenance on those things is a must, and it's unbelievably expensive. And the bigger the vehicle, the more dollars you have to throw at it.
The bus was making more money than I did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was one of the things where we kind of, and this is something I tell every musician, we kind of had to spin on our heels and go this way now. And as a professional musician, it doesn't matter if you get in a band or whatever you're doing, you're going to have to learn to do that. You're going to have to learn, okay, how do I navigate this? How do I, right now, it's stormy waters. How do I navigate this? It's something you're going to have to do. Hey, James Harrison said something. James, how are you, bud? Thanks for watching. If you've been a brother together for 23 years as a brotherhood, you must be doing something right as a boss as well. And I'll
Well,
second.
thanks for that. I hope so.
Yeah. James is a great drummer and a great drum teacher, and he's been watching the show since the onset of it. And yeah, I think that playing with Sam has been great because it is a great hang. So that being said, what's it, talk a little bit about what it is like being on the road. What are some of you've already said some of the misconceptions of what it is to be, the rock star and stuff, but what's it like being on the road? Hang. Why is that so important? Why is the hang a big part of it?
Well, because you've got to live with each other. I mean, it literally is. It's a family thing. You've got to be able to get along. I mean, because we'll do these shows in Arizona. Well, I'll get, like 14, 19 shows booked, and we've got to be out there for that entire time. And what we've kind of started doing, rather than getting hotels and that sort of thing, it's a lot easier now because we can get an Airbnb. And, I always get like a 6-bedroom Airbnb. That's another thing I have to do. And, we all live in that thing for the next 20 days or, however many days it is that we're on the road, and we've got to get along. And, it's not always easy. I mean, like I said, it's a brotherhood, but brothers fight. And, sometimes that kind of stuff happens. And, not so much in the fact that I feel like I'm the dad or the babysitter or anything, but I'm kind of the lukewarm water, if you will, between all of the personalities that are in the band. And, the thing of it is like, I think at this point in our careers, if you want to call it that, we know that this is the band. I'm 62 years old. When this is over, I'm not going to go start another band. I'm not going to go join another band. This is our band. And we all want to keep it going. And at the end of the day, no matter what our differences are, we don't want to stop doing what we're doing. And so I think that in and of itself kind of drives, us to kind of swallow some ego from time to time and just you got to do what it takes to get the job done. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really see, I mean, like any differences that we may have, right?
Yeah.
They're not like these big, enormous, mountains of like, I can't stand that guy over there. Like, I mean, you hear these stories all the time of famous bands, you hear stories of, for God's sakes, Van Halen and Mick Jagger and Keith Richards and stuff like that. And they just, they travel separately and they can't be in the same room. Garth Brooks, you're talking about, country music. They can't, or not Garth Brooks, Brooks and Dunn. They can't stand each other. They show up on stage, they do their job, go home. We don't have that. I mean, any things that bug us are like, it's almost sometimes childish stuff,
Yeah.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing, and I didn't mean that weird. I mean, it's just like, okay, we can get over this. Let's just go down the road.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. And again, too, dude, I mean, all of my stuff is God-based. I mean, that was the Charlie Daniels thing is, God's the center of his stuff. And for me too. And so, it's hard to be mad at somebody you're praying for. That's, that's
that brings me to another question. I'm thinking like, what happens if somebody does break out in a conflict or whatever? What's your method of handling that? If you got two guys in the band and they're both just at each other's throats, what do you do?
He hands us both brass knuckles.
Okay.
He lets us go at it.
Right on.
Immediate de-escalation. That's the biggest part of it. Look, guys, this is stupid. Is this really worth throwing all of this away? Because it takes all six of us to do what we do.
Yeah.
And I mean, people have become such fans of the band that, they expect all six of us to be there every time we play. We don't sub out. Whenever we do shows, it's us. And, everybody in the band has their own fans, has their own stuff. Carl's got like a huge fan club in Phoenix.
Yeah.
We call Carl the Duck. That's kind of his nickname. We've all got nicknames. And these ladies show up to these shows. They're all wearing duck T-shirts. You know what I mean? So we all know, and we're all vested in what we're doing, and we know the importance that it takes, and we know that we need each other. This isn't a solo game. I can't do this without Bart. Bart can't do it without me. Same thing with all the other guys in the band. We know that this is our band, and it takes all of us to do it. And so the little petty things that happen, again, like I said, things are going to come up and things are going to get under people's skin. And I'm sure I've done millions of things that Bart wishes he could strangle me for, but I want to strangle him too. So, at the end of the day, we just hug it out and keep going.
Right on.
Hey, real quick, we got our friend Bruce Wall watching. Bruce is my favorite group of bro.
Oh, we love Bruce. Bruce is awesome.
Tell Bruce's story real quick, Sam.
Bruce is he's a legend in Southern rock. He's been around the entire industry forever. He was the guitar tech for George McCorkle for Marshall Tucker Band. He traveled all those circles. He knows all the Skinner guys. He knows anybody in Southern rock. Bruce knows them pretty much.
Right on.
And he's had his own radio shows. He's been a huge advocate of Southern rock forever. And for the longest time, I was trying to get him to pay attention to me, and he didn't. And so I finally did break through, and I got to him. And because he's just a busy guy, and he's got so many things going on, and he had so many projects. And we just finished an album a few years ago, and the whole goal of the album was to recreate the real true Southern rock, based on the Charlie Daniels, Leonard Skinner, Allman Brothers, Marshall Tucker. The band was called Unfinished Business. And when we set about to record the record, that's what the goal of it. And so when we got it finished, I sent Bruce a copy of the CD. I said, look, dude, I know that you're swamped, you're got so much stuff going on, but if you could listen to this, and I'm not asking anything from you, I just want to know, what do you think of the record? Did we hit the mark? And he called me back, and he was really, really excited about the album. He thought it was great, and that made
Right
me feel
on.
great. And as we just started bonding back over that, we developed a really good friendship. And we went to Arizona. We got to meet him. He's come to some shows. We went to his house. Dude, his house is a Southern rock museum.
It is.
He lives in a Southern rock museum. I mean, there's fiddles from Charlie Daniels, Skinner, Gold Records everywhere. The guy is just, he's just as good a guy as you could possibly ever imagine. And he was going through some bad times. He wound up with bladder cancer, and that happened after we had met and become friends and all that kind of stuff. And we tried to do what we could to help him out, and he's through it all now, and he's stronger than ever. And he's got Wallbucker pickups is one of the things that he started when he was not feeling good, because because of how much he knows about guitars and the business and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He knows how to wind pickups. And so he started a pickup company. And now I think every guitar I own has Wallbucker pickups in them. And
Nice.
I never really thought about changing the pickups on my guitar, but since I've put my guitar sounds better than it ever has. It makes me play better, I think. But anyway, all that to say that we love Bruce, and he's a brother.
Yeah, Bruce is a great guy, and that's what I was showing when you did that. So Bruce made that Frankenstein guitar right there that's hanging on my wall.
Oh yeah.
And he's just what a great guy he is, and a dear friend of the band. Whenever we're playing close to him, he always comes out, he and his wife, and it's always great to see him and to hang out with him. So let me ask you this: in all the years of the band being together, what's changed in the music business? And I know it's a lot, but what's some of the big changes that you've seen in the music business, and how have some of those changes worked to the band's advantage?
Well, one of the things that's changed is there are Wallbucker pickups now that you can
There you go.
At wallbuckers.com.
Wallbucker.com. You got to watch how you say that. You can't say
drummers.
Yeah, every drummer in the world wants some Wallbuckers for his snare drum.
But what has changed? I mean, there's so much that's changed. I mean, social media, just the fact that we don't have to use Thomas guides to figure out where we're going, dude. I mean, the world has changed.
Right.
Social media has really become the big thing in doing it. I mean, once upon a time, getting on the radio, getting on magazines and stuff, nobody listens to the radio. Nobody buys magazines anymore. If you're not on social media, you don't exist. And, even for people to find out about our shows, I mean, once upon a time, there's a calendars, there was magazines that came out with, all the updated concert dates, and not anymore. If it's not on Facebook, my people don't know where we're going to be. So, social media is the big thing that has changed the most, I think. The fact that we use in-ear monitors now, that is a huge thing that's changed since the beginning. I got to tell you, if it wasn't for the in-ear monitors, I probably still wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Because literally, I mean, we have played some tiny, tiny stages, and I spent the last 26 years standing within 10 feet of Bart's cymbals. And he doesn't tap on them.
He loves China cymbals, by the way.
No China cymbals. That's one of the things I told Bart at the very beginning. No China cymbals on your kit, period. I hate them. And, he has graciously adhered to that because he knows I don't like them.
We had a song. There was a song that we recorded with Michael Blum. I don't remember what it was, but it was a re-record, and it had to be exactly like the recording. And I don't remember what it was. And I had to record a China cymbal, and I had a China, and it just didn't sound right. And Joe Hardy let me borrow a China cymbal, and I brought it into the studio. I didn't say anything to Sam. I get it all set up. We're in there recording. I play the part. And dude, whenever you're in the studio with Michael Blum, this is a huge side note off of the question I asked Sam. I knew I did right because he would hit the talk back and he would say, okay, let's listen to that one. He wouldn't ever, if I didn't play it well, he'd hit the talk back and go, let's do another one. That's how it worked, right? So I get done with this take and the talk back comes on and I hear Sam's voice. Was that a China cymbal? I'll never forget it. He hates China cymbals. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway.
In-ear monitors, you stand within 5 feet of me. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Sam Morrison thinks the definition of perfect pitch is the sound that a harmonica makes when it bounces off a China cymbal in a dumpster.
I love it.
I like that. I think that's great. That's great. That's pretty accurate, actually. No, but I don't know, dude. I mean, there's been so much that's changed. I mean, the fact that we're in Airbnbs now instead of hotels, the fact that, like I said, the in-ear monitors is a big thing. I mean, we've gone through so many different phases playing with all the current toys that come out. I mean, I did all the huge rack stuff, and went from that into like the digital modeling and trying to make that happen. At the end of the day, I'm still playing my amps now. I got my tube amp and I'm cranking that, and that part hasn't changed, but it doesn't stop you from going through all the motions of all the other stuff, recording. I mean, that's another thing. I think everybody in the band has a studio in their house. And so when we make these records, there was a lot of changes that happened, when COVID hit. And I think, that's kind of when everybody got their studios together. But, when we make records now, it's not so much that everybody gets in a room and records their parts and, we're done in a day. The way that because of our schedules and because we're so busy and just life, what winds up happening is I write the song. I send it demo to Bart. Bart cuts the drums. I send it over to the bass player. He cuts the bass, and we just have to piecework the thing together. It's not the way that I, would want to do it exactly, but that's kind of where we are with how things work anymore. So, I mean, that's something else that's changed. I mean, changes have been good and bad, but yeah, dude, changes in the band are like the changes everybody's faced. Everything is changed.
Yeah. And again, a lot of times you just, twist on your heels and go in the new direction.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see, I see everything that we've gone through as huge learning curves, right? And sometimes, but at the end of the day, everything is really great. And I agree with you, Sam, on the in-ear monitor thing, like big time. With those couple of gigs that we did last year, where we had to leave the monitor rig on the East Coast and we flew out here to the West Coast for some shows, and not having our in-ears, man, that was just brutal.
Oh,
it's crazy how much better not only the in-ears, but being able to run our own mixes and everything, Well,
yeah. And again, too, I mean, that when I say that without the in-ear monitors that, I probably wouldn't still be doing this. I mean, that's true because we go out on the road for 19 days to go do these shows. It only takes one bad monitor engineer to blow my voice. And then I'm done for the rest of the tour. And I suck, and that's happened many times over the last 26 years. If you don't get a good monitor mix, you're at their mercy completely. But the way that we've got it set up now, we roll into a venue, we hook up our snake and hook up our spider, we call it. And, our mix is perfect every night. And I can, I'm using them now, the Ultimate Ear monitors, they completely seal. And so, Bart can beat the hell out of the drums back there. And I've got a volume knob. And, I've got him exactly where I want him to be. And I can hear my voice every night. It has completely saved my voice having the in-ear monitors. And,
wow, that's interesting.
And I hear so many people that are online and they're in-ears suck and I'm never going to use those things and I can't feel the music and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's because they haven't used good in-ear monitors and they haven't done it right. I mean, when Bart said it was a learning curve, it really is. We tried it in the beginning, getting the cheap ones and, the $99 Sures or, and we got the cheap system. And you're right, but it's like anything else. If you get if you go get a set of drums from Radio Shack, they're not gonna they're not gonna inspire you to play drums.
Right.
Yeah.
We wound up spending a lot of money, and we learned it from trial and error. I mean, we got a system that we thought was going to work, and then we played Miami, and Miami's got the docks, they've got casinos, they've got airports, they've got radio stations coming from Cuba, they've got all this stuff. We showed up there with our inner system, and none of it worked because
Right.
we had a cheap system. So we had to, if we're going to do this and be serious about it, we had to bite the bullet and make it right.
You had to make the investment. Yeah.
Yeah. But now that we've got it, it's bulletproof. We can go anywhere, and we've always got a signal. And again, that's due to our bass player, Greg. Like I said, everybody in the band has their lane. Greg holds many lanes, but he is an expert on doing in-ear monitors. And he figures out, he's got computers that do all this stuff, and he's got a laptop that finds the frequencies. And he another thing, he came up with this thing. He started doing research on it. There's this thing called occluence that I had no idea about. I mean, as we were going through the procedure of having the in-ears, my vocal was better, but it still sounded funny to me. It wasn't great. And Greg found out, he started researching it. There's a thing called occluence, and that's with the sound of your voice that you hear inside your head. So like if you put your fingers in your ears and you talk, you get that muddy kind of a resonance that's vibrating inside your head, and your voice doesn't sound right, but it sounds muddy and kind of there. Well, if you don't EQ your in-ear monitors to accommodate for that occluence, your ears are going to sound like crap. He figured it out. He put that EQ curve into my monitors, and now when I sing, my monitor is exactly perfect, and it sounds like I'm in a studio.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So any of you guys that are doing in-ear monitors, you've got to do the whole thing. You can't chintz out on it, or you're not going to get it all.
And to since it's the drummers education connection, drummers, let me tell you, having a good drum mix in your ears, having your toms sound like you want them to sound, having your snare drum sound like you want it to sound, your kick drum, having all of that stuff is so, it sounds corny to say, but it's very freeing, right? When your drums sound the way you want them to sound, and your drum tone sounds the way you want it to sound, you just play better. So if you get into a band, or if you're thinking about making the jump into an in-ear system, Sam is 100% correct. It'll be worth every penny. I promise you that. Hey, real quick, what I would like to do is I'd like to encourage everybody, if you would, please go to YouTube and go to Drummers Education Connection. Look us up, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. Help us grow this channel, and so we can keep creating content like this for drummers and for musicians and people in the music business. Sam, I got another question for you. So with all the touring and with being on the road and, the in-ear monitor system, all this stuff is great. That's awesome. At the beginning of the show, you're talking about how you're working on a new song. You're in the studio. We all have studios. How do you keep touring life and the band, that part of it, and then the creative side? How do you navigate that? How do you navigate the creative side? Now, I know you have a studio. We all have studios. I spend a lot of time in this room, but how do you keep those creative juices flowing? How does that work?
I wish I knew. It's wearing different hats. Like I said, what I do in the band is, everything. And I've got to do stuff in sections. When we're on the road, that's what I'm doing. I'm on the road, and I'm taking care of that kind of stuff. I'm dealing with the merch. I'm dealing with, getting all the scheduling and the venues and all that kind of stuff. When I'm off the road, I've got to take a certain amount of time to okay, I've got to book shows now. I'm in booking mode. That's what I do. I call it modes. I'm in booking mode. I've got to get the next batch of shows booked or we're not going to have anything coming up. So I go into booking mode. So in the same way, I have to go into studio mode. I try to write when I'm on the road, but it's just really hard to when you've got all that other stuff going on. And so this month we've got a little bit of a time off, and that's why right now I'm in studio mode. That's what I'm doing, and I'm recording. I'm getting this next song done, and I'm hoping to get it on the TV show Landman. That's why I wrote it.
Right on.
Right.
But yeah, it's just compartmentalizing and just going into one section at a time. I wish I could juggle all the plates at the same time, but I just can't.
Yeah.
And again too, I mean, coming up in this next batch before we're going back out to Indiana and Michigan coming up in July, and I'm in merch mode. I mean, we literally do everything in this band. I screen all the t-shirts. I make sure that we've got all of the swag that we've got to sell when we go out on the road. So I've got to get into shirt mode and, get that part of it done. And then, I just got to keep changing lanes and make sure everything gets taken care of.
This was like a million years ago, it seems like, but way back in the day, Sam's got a really nice silkscreen thing now, but back in the day, I had this little turntable and I got some wood and we made this silk screen thing and Sam was silk screening these shirts, and it was before, I mean, he knew how to silk screen, but he didn't know how to silk screen. And we're on the road and we're going to a gig in Oregon and we're in the hotel and we had all these t-shirts that Sam had silk screened. It was really cool because it had two colors on it. It said the Sam Morrison Band. It had an alligator on it, and the alligator was green. And somebody was like, "Oh yeah, man, I got the shirt. I love the shirt. You did a great job. Oh, by the way, the ink came off when I washed it." And we're like, that would have been a great piece of information to know before we're on the road.
Everything's a learning curve. You gotta know that stuff. We didn't dry them right. So what we wind up doing, we're on our way to Oregon. So we take all these shirts and we go to the hotel laundry and we throw all these shirts in the dryer and just crank it up as hot as it'll get, hoping that it'll melt. It'll get the ink into the shirt. So I don't know if anybody ever, I don't know if any of those shirts are still in existence or not.
Greg has one.
But again, that's how you learn this stuff. You just got to go make the mistakes,
Yeah. Well, you learn more from
your
your mistakes.
Yeah. Exactly.
You definitely learn more from your mistakes than you do your successes, right?
Well, Sam, when you're thinking about like the band musically in a Southern rock band, what are the good telltale signs of a good Southern rock drummer? What are you looking for in a drummer?
Somebody that just does what I tell him to. No.
Nice.
No, it's the same thing. I think it's not necessarily with Southern rock, but Bart's talked about this, I'm sure, on the show many times. It's playing for the song that you're playing. Some songs, you really want craziness going on back there. You want all kinds of drum fills, and then some stuff you just need it to be as steady as possible. And as you're putting the songs together, getting the thing to where, and I think it's not just for drummers, it's for musicians everywhere. The song is the most important thing. That's what you're trying to sell. And whatever everybody's contributions for that purpose is what it takes to get the thing done, is to play what needs to be played. Don't overplay, but don't underplay either. You want to make sure that you get the point across in whatever song it is that you're trying to record.
Right on. Cool.
And I think it's, stylistically, I remember when I first got into the band, as Sam had stated, I've been playing metal for, quite a while. I'd moved to California. I played in two different bands, and both of them were metal bands. And then when I got into Sam's band, it was a country band that we kind of morphed into the Southern rock thing. Chip, you saw that at Deck Day when I talked about it. The thing about playing in a Southern rock band and being a drummer in a Southern rock band, I want to clear a misconception to anybody out there watching this. There's a bad rap, I think, with some country band, with any band, but with Southern rock bands, it's some old fat dude in the corner playing three steps wearing a Harley Davidson t-shirt. Yeah, there's a lot of that. But the fact of the matter is, if you really dive into Southern rock and you listen to the drumming And I'm not just talking about Skinner. There's some incredible drum parts in Leonard Skinner that Artemis Pyle played. But if you listen to the Allman Brothers, and you listen to the Charlie Daniels Band, and you listen to the Marshall Tucker Band, you're listening to everything from rock to jazz to, you listen to the Charlie Daniels Band, and there's odd time in there. And the Allman Brothers, I talked about this during Deck Day, Whip and Post. You need a calculator to get through that song. Plus, there was 2 drummers and a percussionist. It's not easy music. It is not easy music to navigate. It really isn't.
No.
Yeah, I underestimated country before I got in the country band. I vastly underestimated the nuances and the touch and the feel song per song.
Yeah,
and what a variety to be a country drummer, you have to have a pretty vast toolkit.
Yeah, it's much easier for a country drummer to play rock than it is for a rock drummer to play country.
That's true.
When Bart came into the band, I had some original songs, that we were playing as we toured, and I gave Bart these original songs. Hey Bart, here's the songs. Oh dude, it's great. I learned them. It's we're gonna tear it up. It's gonna be awesome. I'm like, okay, cool. He goes, I got them note for note. We're good to go. And we show up to the gig, and he's got this big, huge yellow double bass kit with these cymbals that look like manhole covers, and he's just back there just laying into that thing. And he hit all the same notes that are in the song, but I'm like, dude, there's a thing called feel. And, he goes, but dude, I'm playing all the parts, right? And I'm like, you're playing all the parts, but right, maybe not right. And, but he went to work on it, and he's Bart can play anything. I'm not even.
Well, thank you for that. The one thing I will say is, like, everything has changed in my kit. Like everything from the size of the drums to the size of the kit itself, to the cymbals, to the thickness of the cymbals, the size of sticks that I use, everything has changed. And again, this is a 26, 27 year, evolution of becoming the drummer for the band. And most bands last, 11 months. So it's been you're always learning something. And we talk about that a lot on the show. If you're not learning something all the time, if you're not, the worst thing that you can say is, well, how did you play that? I'm playing it the way I've always played it. Well, maybe the way you've always played it isn't correct. And man, I learned that a million times over, I've always played it this way. Well, it's always been terrible, and you've got to learn to lose the ego with that, Yeah. That's a big part of it. Okay.
Well,
so
the evolution, the evolution, like you said, is a big thing. The older we get, the smaller our gear gets.
That's for sure, man. That's for sure. So we got a few minutes left here, and I want to make, and none of these questions, we don't have to end right at an hour, but the one question that I do have that we talk about a lot, I get it with my students, and I know you get it from other band members and everything, Sam, to somebody that, not band members in our band, but from other bands, they'll come to you. How do you make it work? How do you get this to happen? And we've covered a lot of it today, but if you could give one generic answer to younger people or to a band that's trying to do what we're doing, what piece of advice would you give them?
You got to look at the actual goal of what you're trying to accomplish. And I think it's not just for being in a band, but it's for anything in your life. Mm-hmm. You've got to look at if you're in a band and you're wanting it to work and you're wanting to play these big gigs, you've got to have that be your focus, and then do whatever it takes to make that happen. And, you can't do it with, you've got, 6 egos that are all wanting to be the star. You can't do that with, one guy that, you got a singer that shows up that walks in with his microphone and then walks out as soon as the show's over, where everybody else is sitting around like, I got to pack up all this crap. Everybody's got to pitch in and it's got to be one unit. You've got to focus on what it is you're trying to do, and everybody's got to work at it the same. because if you don't work at it the same, then you're going to get resentment. You're going to get, people going, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's just going to cause problems. You've got to, it's got to be a common thing that you're trying to accomplish, and all got to work equally to get that thing done, I think.
How do you go about re-illustrating that goal to your own band? Like, do you have semi-yearly or bi-monthly type check-ins on, hey, here we are, here's how far away from the goal we are, and here's what the goal is? And do you have updates like that with the band, like a group powwow?
We kind of do. I mean, we're on the road a lot, and so a lot of times if we get together while we're on the road, it's it's one of those things that's like when we are together so much that when we're not together, I kind of like try to let everybody be on their own and have a life, you know what I mean? And so when we do get back together, a lot of the times that's when I'll do the chats or the check-ins or whatever.
Oh, right.
And we're always in contact on emails and that sort of thing. Whenever I send out, I'll do blasts letting everybody know where we are and what we're doing, and kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly. But communication is the big thing. Is just everybody, no he said, she said. Everybody, everybody in the band comes to me with their stuff, and I try to make sure that all the stuff gets taken care of.
Right on.
And I do have to say this too, as a, we were talking about how Sam is, I mean, he's the band leader and he is the one that makes the decisions, books the gigs and everything like that. When I first got in the band, we had a manager, if you will, JP, and he got us some pretty cool gigs. We went over to Europe because of him, and we did the Edgar Winter show. And then when the band kind of switched directions and he was no longer involved, then it was just like, okay, we're a unit and we're doing this together. Sam really went to work and has done a magnificent job. And as far as like being a band leader and to what you just said, everybody has to pitch in. A perfect example of that is this last gig that we played. There's this place that we play out here called Hilltop Tavern. And it's kind of out in the middle of the desert up in Apple Valley. And it's always real windy there, and it's kind of cold, and it's loading in and out of this place isn't the easiest. There's like this ramp you back up to. It's kind of a pain. And as all the drummers watching this, Chip, you'll get this, I'm usually the first one there because I've got to get all my cases on, and I don't want to have to step over everybody else's gear, because then you take the risk of stepping on a cable and breaking a pedal. So I get there early and I get my stuff up on the stage and get out of the way, and get set up. And so because of that, I'm also usually the last one to leave. Well, loading into this gig is not easy. Sam stuck around, and we have a buddy, Clay, who was in town. We hadn't seen him in a number of years, and he stuck around. The gig's over. He could have been out of there 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago. And he helped me load my truck, and I think that speaks for leadership, because a good leader doesn't, let the guys in the back of the boat drown. He goes down with the ship, so to speak, and so Sam is there to help. And I think that speaks volumes about why the band has been together for 26 years, because he's always, been there to help and wants the best for the band himself. It's his, he's the one that started the thing and he wants the best for it. So my hat's off to you.
Right on.
I appreciate that, man. It's just do what you got to do, man. That's the thing.
Okay. One last question. If you could sit down with Sam Morrison, knowing what you know now, back in 95, when you started this band, a younger version of yourself, what would be the piece of advice, the main piece of advice that you would give yourself? If I knew then what I know now, what would you tell yourself?
Go to school, get a job, do anything. Don't be in a band.
Don't be in a band.
I thought he was going to say invest in Apple.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No kidding.
No, I don't know. It's kind of, it's kind of one of those weird things like, yeah, well, if I could go back and if I knew then what I know now, but it's all the stuff that happened when I didn't know that made me who I am now.
Right.
And, if I didn't go through all of those changes and all of the band member swaps and all the things that happened, then I wouldn't have the experience to know how I want things to be and how I want to run things. And I don't know. I don't know that I would say a whole lot of anything different other than some of the members of the band that I hired. I probably would say, don't hire that guy. Don't hire that girl. Don't, but again, you learn that stuff just through what happens. And, that's just part of the thing. I mean, it's part of being in a band and part of the evolution of doing what you do.
Right. On. Cool. Well, Sam, thanks so much for coming on, dude. And it really means a lot to me that you came on the show. We've been doing this since COVID, and I never asked you to be on the show just because I was like, well, we're doing it more towards drummers. And then as the show expanded and we made these changes, like, I got to get Sam on there and tap into that, because we always get so many questions. I know you do, how do you guys do that? How do you guys stay on the road? Blah, 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 blah. I get it from my students all the time. So I thought it would be a kind of an eye-opening show to have you on. So thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah. Thank you for being on.
My pleasure. It's all about just being responsible and being the guy that you want to work with.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, everybody. Hey, once again, thanks to Sam. Everybody, please go to YouTube, to Drummers Education Connection, like and subscribe. In the description to this show, again, I said it at the top of the show, there is a free PDF, this Musician's 7-Day Mindset Reset. You can go and click on that. It'll take you over to a platform that I have some stuff on there called Gumroad, but it's 100% free. You can download that, kind of get your brain around stuff if you're having trouble getting yourself motivated and staying in the game. So go check that out. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to be here every Tuesday at 8 a.m. from now on, and we'll see you guys next week here on deck. Chip, spin us out, baby.
All right, baby. Thank you, Sam Morrison. 100 proof Southern rock.
There you go.